Okay, to everyone who's joining in, welcome. My name is Zanga Msakozwe, uh, the co-founder and CEO of MedSearch Zambia. MedSearch Zambia is a platform that we created to simplify access to reliable health information. We realized one thing, that there's so much information out there, misinformation, that many people will believe, and this is why we created this platform. We're able to share reliable information for people, from expert people like Brother Obi, who is a pharmacist. 2021. 2021 in summary has been a challenging year. So many things have happened. The advent of COVID-19 has taught us the new normal, doing things in a different way that we've never done before. Away from the physical social life that we had from January to December, where you're able to be with friends, hang out with friends, the advent of COVID-19 taught us how to distance ourselves. The advent of COVID-19 brought in social distance, virtual meeting, and one thing was ordering of food online and not the way we used to order food, go and sit throughout the year and you sit and have fun and have conversations. On the mental part of it, it has really affected everyone because no one really prepared us for it. We have lost so many friends, so many loved ones, family and friends. At the beginning of the year, it was that bad that each and every day when you see a photo on Facebook, you already know what follows. There was a time that a friend of mine posted a photo of his young brother and congratulating him for passing his exams. Before he could even say anything, people were just saying my condolences, and he was like, "No, wait, he has just passed his exams," and that is the point that we reached. Mentally, we were defeated, majority of us, and this is why we have come today with my guest, Brother Obi, who's been a brother, a friend since 2012 from Evelyn Horn. We we clicked there and then. He was, I have to brag, he was a year behind me at Evelyn Horn. But now, yeah, he's a colleague and a friend. Brother Obi, welcome.
Thank you so much, Brother Zanga. Thank you to all those that have tuned in to watch. I'm excited to be here for this discussion.
We'll start the ball rolling. I think I've done a little introduction. Like if I was told to introduce you, that is how I can introduce you. Who's Mr. I have to change from brother. Like we have to now go profession. Who is Mr. Obi M. Chomba?
Wow. As you've put it rightly, my name is Obi Chomba. There are so many things that I would like to attach to this name. But most importantly, Obi Chomba is a believer, a family man. In the business sector, I'm a pharmaceutical business executive, an entrepreneur, and a mental health advocate. So I'm the founder and managing consultant for OMC Health Solutions, as it were. So in simple terms, I think that's how I would describe who Obi is.
Among the few friends I've got who've been advocating throughout the year, who've been advocating for mental health, has been you. Kindly share with us why is it important for one to care more about their mental health?
So you will agree with me that we can't exist without mental health. And that's something that we must take very seriously. We stop existing if we don't have mental health. So mental health, as you've put it, actually borders on our psychosocial or psychological well-being. It covers the emotional part of us and also the social well-being of an individual. So mental health is not segregative. Mental health affects or is in every one of us. I would say that it borders on how we feel, how we act, and how we think. So you'd understand from that angle how important this mental health we're talking about is. So it goes on to regulate how we handle stress, how we relate with others, and also how we make choices. So in a day-to-day activity, our mental health is ever at work. And that's how precious and important this mental health we're talking about is. Something that we must not neglect. Each and every day we wake up just to check up how we're doing. And even those that are close to us, just to understand how they are doing, because this is how important mental health in one's life.
Maybe maybe I'll ask you why are you so passionate about it? I think I've seen the way you've been passionate. Like each and every Monday, I tune in and you bring on different people who are able to help us understand it further. Why have you taken it upon yourself? Why are you so passionate about it?
So reasons are simple, and thank you for that question, Zanga. You will understand that this is an area, us coming from a background of health, being a pharmacist, this is an area which is quite neglected, but the impact that it has on the nation or globe at large is quite huge. So if we leave it to a few that are on a day-to-day talking about it, it will not make sense to others. So it must be able to start from grassroots, I would call. So within
Yeah.
ourselves, at household level, we must normalize talking about mental health. And so in this regard, we find that on a day-to-day, I'm able to make over 1,000 decisions, okay? And now my mental health is affected. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a father, I'm a scholar, I'm a researcher. If I don't take care of my well-being, my mental health, I wouldn't do any of that sort. If people's mental health is not well taken care of, we wouldn't have people making decisions that are going to affect our economy. So in that regard, even the people that we are raising, the people that are coming behind us must understand that this area of health is very important, because we may not be able to raise the presidents of this country, leaders of this nation, if we don't advocate that people take care of their mental health. And so so many relationships around me, and so I must make sure that I'm up to date with my mental health, because I'm on the human, and also understanding my friends is actually something that makes me go into this field, so that I'm able to at least balance my all angles of life as I live on earth. So this is an area which helps me as well as an entrepreneur. Like I mentioned, so many things to do, of which if I don't take care of my mental health, I may just crumble and not be able to do things that I'm able to do. So productivity in that regard is reduced. And at this point, as a country, we are talking about productivity. We would want to ensure that our economy is up and running. But if you have people that are not taking care of their mental health, you would find that we'll not be moving as a nation. So it starts from an individual, it goes on to a group of people and comes to global level, so that we must move at the same page as it were. So that's why I've taken it upon myself. This has now transmitted to what we do at OMC Health Solutions, trying to ensure that even as we are in business, we're able to help our clients and also the public in general. We ensure that they are well informed about what mental health is. In the past, there has been stigmatization in this area. And in our culture, you would find that there are a lot of myths that if we started talking about now, would even go overboard in terms of time. Yeah, so we're trying to bridge that gap as well to ensure that everyone knows, from a child to an adult, to say this is not a Chinama issue or mental health hospital issue. It's an issue that affects all of us, and we must all get involved, from the church, civil societies, health institutions. We must make sure that we take it on and make people understand why we are advocating for mental health.
You've I could sit here and just hear you talk about mental health, and what you've said is the truth. Like I said in the beginning, 2021 has been a challenging year. A majority of the people already feel defeated even before the new year starts. And our discussion today is about how can one prepare for a brand new year. We are going to start afresh. As in many people say, I'm starting afresh, I'm starting from one. Already many are afraid of what is about to come. I think in 2021, at the beginning of 2021, when the advent of COVID started, we had seen many people losing jobs. Already, majority of people are anxious about it. They are more afraid. Others are happy. If I had to come to you, and I'll say we're having a brotherly talk, how can I personally prepare for a brand new year?
I lost you a bit.
Okay. Let me welcome
Maybe you
Dr.
can just
All right, no problem.
Say what you.
Okay,
Yeah,
no problem.
you can go ahead.
Okay, let me welcome Dr. Mata to the forum. Let come. Dr. Mokhtar, welcome to tonight's discussion. Welcome to tonight's discussion. I'm with Mr. Obi.
Hi, Zanga. Hi,
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Muta.
So my question was, 2021 has been a challenging year. I think if you're in the health sector, if you are working at the hospital, personally, I was defeated with the number of people that were coming in, the number of deaths that were recording each and every day. Corporate world, many businesses were closing. We've had so many downs than ups, and I know many people are so anxious. Others are afraid for 2022 because already we are seeing the cases going up. If we were in a session with you, or if I called you and I said, how can I prepare myself for a brand new year for 2022? How do I prepare myself?
It's a major topic. It's quite broad, but for the purpose of this conversation, we'll try as much as possible to narrow it down to the simplest term that everyone out there would be able to understand. So preparation is quite key. Like soldiers do. They don't just go out and win a war. Talk of footballers, they don't just go out in a season and win a trophy. So it starts from the drawing board. And us Zambians obviously are good at going back to the drawing board. We are at that time of the season. Again, today is New Year's Eve. I'm sure everyone is excited. I can see out there people are already popping these fireworks and all that. To the contrary, others are with their new books, their diaries, their journals, trying to ensure that they record what they'll be able to accomplish in 2022. So we've alluded to the fact that preparation is always very important. That's number one. So how do we prepare is the question. Preparation, I would say, to start with, I have about 5 things that I would like to share with the public. And to start with, knowing yourself is very important. So you must understand who you are and why you exist. So when you know who you are, then you'll be able to understand what you like, understand what you're passionate about, understand your weaknesses and strength. So from that number one of understanding who you are and what you stand for, takes you now to you drawing the roadmap of where you want to go. So that preparation begins from there. You're drawing a roadmap, and these are what we call goals. People will be able to prepare goals, but as we've seen earlier, things that affects our mental health include stress, relationships, the choices we make. And so we must be able to ensure that the goals we make are not out-edge, they are not unreachable and achievable. So we must be able to ensure that we make goals that are simple, goals that are specific, they are achievable, goals that are realistic and are time bound. So we will not be able to make goals that we are going to fail to achieve, because then disappointment starts from there. We are not going to make goals that we are going to fail to achieve, because we are going to call ourselves failures. So preparation starts with those two. Again, as we fall into 2022, after we've made our goals in whichever aspect of life, be it religion, be it academic, be it health-wise, how do you want to look? How much money do you want to make? How much money do you want to reserve in your bank? All those, we must be very, very realistic with what we put across those papers of ours, the journals, the diaries, so that we are not disappointed, because we make plans, but ultimately God has a decision to make. And all we trust is who we are, and what we visualize will be able to happen is what we pen down. And we must start working towards that, because that becomes our guide. The third thing, after you've made those goals, others would be ambitious. It's not bad to make ambitious goals, but again, we must be able to bring ourselves back to reality and say, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and this is what I'll be able to do from now on. We must be able to embrace change, like we've observed in 2021. Yeah. It has been a year, a lot of some are miracles, some have been disappointments, some have been pandemic. And so we must be able to embrace change. We must not be too hard on ourselves as we go into 2022. When change comes, of course, people try to find it very, very, very challenging in accepting change, but we must be able to give ourselves space, be able to digest and understand where this change is taking us. I mean, it's only God who holds our destiny. And so no political will, no social will, no whatsoever would be able to impact what we've been able to draw up as our roadmap. But again, these environments have got a role to play. So we must be able to make adjustments when change comes, and make sure that we understand that change properly. From change, after understanding change, the fourth element that I would bring in when it comes to preparing for 2022 is eliminating toxic relationships. I think this is an area where people have found it difficult, I would say. It's something obvious, even at personal level. I would say it's something easy just to let go of a friendship. But you would understand that there are certain relationships that we do not need in our lives. And that's primary, because if we understand who we are, we understand where we are going, we'll be able to understand who we need at that particular point in time to take us to where we are going. So it's not everyone close or around that you'll be able to call a friend. Please, it's common on social media and other places. We must be able to understand who our friends are, who's good for us to get to where we're going. So it's very important. It's not bad to let go of a friendship that's not yielding results. Again, I'll repeat, in 2022, do not ride on dead relationships. So be it in whichever circle you may think of, please make sure that you move on with the right people in your life as you go into 2022. It will give you peace, inner peace, that you'll be able to achieve, even those goals that you've set across, that you'll be able to achieve in 2022. It will be easy for you. I've had challenges at personal level in the past, but 2021, I think I had to make tough decisions that even my friend at home, my wife, knows that, okay, these are tough decisions that my friend is making. It was not easy, but definitely for growth, for you to get to where you are going, you just have to drop toxic relationships. I've dwelt so much on that in the interest of time. I think we must be able to plan for adversities and challenges. When introducing this conversation in the morning, I just woke up, I was preparing to get back to Lusaka. I said, we must be soft on ourselves. Let me just get back so that I don't misquote what I just said. That came from me. Okay, I said you shouldn't be afraid to start all over again. And tonight, again, is another chance where we have the drawing board. Okay, come tomorrow. We are going on the pitch to ensure that we get those results that we set apart. And overall, we are talking about mental health issues. Everything that we're talking about, setting the goals, changing or eliminating toxic friendships, knowing who you are, centers on mental health. And so the last part I wanted to ensure that in the time that I've been given is to ensure that we plan for obstacles. We must be able to plan for obstacles. In every area, let's ensure that we didn't know that COVID would come at any point. People had already set aside monies for business. They wanted to travel. They wanted to go to Dubai. They wanted to, to do all sorts of things. But the coming in of COVID,
everything changed.
Came in with different, challenges and all kinds of stress, anxieties. And so we must be able to prepare as we start for 2022. We must just not look at the positives, okay? We will not be doing ourselves justice if we just look at how we are going to buy that Mercedes-Benz, how we are going to get that achievement, that degree, whatsoever thing that we plan to achieve in 2022. But we must be able to understand that God created this earth with adversities to prepare us for next challenges. If we do not die in that regard, we have chance to live again and ensure that we use the knowledge that we've acquired, the wisdom we've acquired from the past adversities or challenges to ensure that we approach 2022 differently. So we prepare for that, ensure if we are not saving, let's save quite a lot already. So we must ensure that we make changes and ensure that we factor in those changes that are bound to come without our knowledge.
No, you are breaking. So you are a little bit breaking, I think, on the last point. I don't know if you're able to repeat the last point.
Okay, this internet, I think these service providers have been failing us for some time.
Yeah.
But what I wanted
As
to
it's New
put
Year's,
across,
so everyone's on the internet today.
is on the internet, yeah.
And then
I get
just
that.
before you continue, I would just want to say, if for those who've joined us, we appreciate that you've joined. If you have any question, please do type them in the comments, and after Mr. Chamba finishes, we'll be able to discuss and ask and see how best we are able to answer your questions. So please feel free to ask all your questions and all your contributions in the comment section. Mr. Chamba, back to you.
Thank you so much, Brother Zanga. Again, pointing out to one of the things that we're talking about. We're talking about how to prepare for 2022, and then the last point I was addressing is we must ensure that we plan for obstacles, because now we understand that anything can happen at any point. We don't have control over life, I would say. It's only God who has control over life. And so we may be faced with pandemics that we don't know about. For now, it's the COVID-19 that we know about, still struggling to find the cure. And we know it's just vaccine that we can do for now. So planning for obstacles is quite important. At personal level, at family level, we must be able to understand that eventually, and then this point, Brother Zanga, takes me back to insurance. This is an area where we've not done well as Zambians. And I've learned how insurance would be important in circumstances such as this. So if you have an opportunity to insure, even do a life cover or anything, please let it start in 2022, because we don't know what's coming ahead of us. So what we have control over is today, but tomorrow is for God to know what comes before us. So let's plan adequately. The issue of finances, that brings a lot of headaches to all of us. It's something that we must ensure that we plan for. Know how much you have. 365 days, you must be able to plan and understand how much comes your way, so that it does, you're not caught unaware in case of anything comes. Know how much you have for people, so that in case of again, you factor in. Those are some of the some of those ideas I'm passing on are coming deep down from me, and not just paperwork. So we must be able to understand that things do change. You are good today, you may not be good tomorrow, but how do you survive even in that state when you're not okay? So we must ensure that we do the planning thoroughly. And unless there are questions, Brother Zanga, on how to prepare.
For now, nothing. For now, nothing. For me, I don't know if Mata will join and if he's got any question or contribution.
Yeah, I think for me, it's you mentioned a few very important things as we're preparing for the new year, and the importance of mental health. And right now, the three of us men are talking like this, and I think in our personal capacities, in our professional capacities, I think mental health, especially amongst men, is something that I'd want us to talk a bit about, because it's not easy for us as men, especially to ask for help when we're struggling with things, and we go through so many things and we try to deal with them on our own, and people don't realize that it can be very stressful. It can be a very heavy burden Sometimes we see people drinking every Friday and Saturday, and we think they just like drinking, but it's their unhealthy way of coping with all the mental health issues that they're dealing with. So as we go into the new year, speaking as men, as healthcare workers, as entrepreneurs, how would you, and going back to what you mentioned about cutting out unhealthy relationships, for me, I think one of the things that has helped me personally is, as you're cutting away unhealthy relationships, you're also recognizing the healthy relationships and being very deliberate about nurturing and growing healthy relationships where the people you're interacting with are helping you grow. You're able to talk to them, able to express yourself in different aspects. I don't know what you guys, if anything, you want to talk about that.
I'll allow
Yeah.
Brother Obi to come in. I think he's having network problem. Yeah, but
Yeah.
one thing that you've mentioned. I think he's back. But one thing that Brother Obi has said has been knowing yourself. And I think for me, I didn't plan on writing any notes, but the moment you started talking, I was like, where's my pen? I need to start writing notes. And the first point was knowing yourself and self-identity, which is very important. Yeah, you cannot nurture a relationship that you want if you don't know yourself. You cannot cut out a relationship to say this is a toxic relationship based on what? It all starts with spending time to know yourself. And the first point for me was like the whole everything, like you summarized everything and told me, look, I need to know myself. If you talk about goals, how am I going to set, as a man, how am I going to set up these goals? Are these goals based on what my neighbor is doing or what this person is doing? Or are these goals based on what I really want? And for you to come up with those goals, you need to know yourself. This week I was with Dr. Mata and we're talking about we're living in a time where if Brother Obi is going to do a master's degree, it doesn't even benefit me, but just because he's doing a master's degree, I'm also going to now look. I'm going to, if he goes on to buy a Mercedes Benz, I'm going to buy a Mercedes Benz because I've just seen him buying a Mercedes. But I don't know why he has bought that Mercedes Benz. I don't know why he's staying in a 10-bedroom house. He's doing all that because he knows himself. And at the end of the day, as we prepare for the new year, I think a long time ago would have gone out partying and everything, but this is a time that I think this week or over the weekend before Monday starts, it's a time where you get a book, you get a pen, and start knowing yourself. What do I like? What will I need to do? Not what are we going to do with my friends, but what am I going to do better in this year? Brother Obi.
Yeah, so the issue of relationships is quite broad, each one of us. I would like to ride on a point that Dr. Mata said or mentioned, that nurturing and growing good relationships is also an important aspect of preparing for 2022. It's very true. We must not be able to neglect those relationships we've observed have been good to ourselves and have contributed to our growth in this regard. So we must be able to be deliberate going in that direction, so much so that even them feel or benefit from our end, because these relationships must be symbiotic. Isn't it, Dr. Mata?
Yeah.
You must be able to
Absolutely.
benefit from both ends. Yeah, so it's not about one putting in efforts of trying to help the other be the better self without the other person, receiving exactly the same that they are putting in. So it's a two-way thing. We meet as men We must be able to talk about the direction where we are headed, talk about our businesses, talk about, of course, we can laugh. We must not be too hard on ourselves. That's something that we must learn in 2022. We must play even as we do all these things, because mental health, again, is something that will hit us badly if we're not taking care of ourselves. So as we do those relationships, we must be deliberate to ensure that each one of us in these relationships do benefit. If you're not benefiting from a relationship, it's not worthy.
Yeah, there is a question, and I think it was one of the things that I jotted down. Fear. Uh, I think fear at the moment is like top. We're going into a new year. Majority of the people are afraid of. They don't know whether they'll still have the job. They don't know what. Like they're afraid of cutting off friends. They're afraid of starting all over. They're afraid of embracing change. Patrick Chongo has asked a very good question. How best do you open up about problems without being ashamed? For me, how do you overcome the fear of being ashamed of you opening up if you've got a problem, especially if you're a man?
You said that's Patrick?
Yeah, Patrick Chongo.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question, Patrick Chongo. We've been brought up in environments where by culture, we say men don't cry. Men are not supposed to cry, which is very bad for mental health. Everyone must cry. For as long as you are hurt, you must be able to cry. Okay, so now that fear of being ashamed is what cripples men not to open up. You must be able to identify who your friends are. And when I mean friends, not the ones you talk to on social media. I mean, identify within your inner circle, somebody you are able to confide in. It starts from there. So if you have someone you are open enough with, at least even if you can't give them 100%, give them even up to 90%. It's good enough that you can be able to, because then it lifts the burden from you to their end, and they'll be able to find a way in which they are going to help you out. But if you keep it to yourself that you are ashamed, people will look at you in a different way. People do die. Okay, we've lost quite a number of lives in institutions. We've got the CBU case we must refer to. People didn't want to open up what their problem were, and that's the result. So don't trust everybody, but find someone you can confide in and trust. It may be that one person who will be able to sort out that problem that you have. That's what I can say.
Any comment mentally fearing the unknown for next year? How does one overcome fear? Mata or Obi can come through. How do I overcome the fear of unknown? Yeah.
I think before Obi comes in, I think I liked what you said, Obi, about preparing. I think one of the ways we overcome fear is by preparing as much as we can, putting rainy day funds for your finances if you have access to insurance. And right now, if you're in Zambia, the minimum you can do is at least get on NEMA. It's a starting point, but
yeah, I hope
there's
Nima
always
is
going to be
improving.
uncertainty.
I hope Nima is
All the
watching and we are promoting him. Please do go on.
Yeah, but I think for 20, like right now, we're all afraid, right? Yeah, we're all afraid. 2020, 2021, the end of the year, we were celebrating, and then the years just went completely crazy. So now we're all asking ourselves, okay, 2022, is anything going to get better? Should I just bury my head? But in every challenge, there is opportunity as well. So it's preparing as much as you can and praying as much as you can all the time, and knowing that there's always a solution. It may not always be the solution that you had initially planned, but if you look enough, there's always going to be a way to figure things out, and you have your networks to help you figure things out. And I think it's knowing that you are not alone in whatever you're going through. It's just important to have a support system to help you overcome those fears.
Brother Obi, anything? I think he's still having network problem. I think. Oh yeah, I think he's back.
Yeah, I know my network has been unstable.
I do understand.
But I know you are waiting for me to make a comment on fear, the unknown. So you will agree with me that fear is the most pronounced word in the Bible. If you get to the Bible, fear has been mentioned about, if not 365 times, I may need to research again, but about 365 times in the Bible. Even more than 365, up to 500 times in the Bible. But something of that has been encouraging to me on personal level, even as a believer, is that when you get to the Bible and you come across the word fear, our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, again, would always assure his people to say, fear not. Even when the Lord is communicating, he would tell people to say, fear not. So it's something that's comforting and that encouraging at the same time. If you understand who God is to you, I'll put it that way, because then you know who you are dealing with. And if he tells you, go this way, go this direction, you'll be able to follow. Just like we obey instructions from the president, we obey instructions from our parents. If you have God in your life, again, you understand that you've got nothing to fear, not even death, because you know who you're dealing with. God has gone all out, starting from the days of Joshua, to tell us not to fear. Again, when we go back to Philippians, the Lord has always instructed not to be anxious for anything. So this is life. We must approach it as it comes, even as we prepare, trusting that everything goes according to God's will. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
So we must not fear. We must not fear anything. Let's be calm about 2022. Of course, after nailing or putting down what we desire to be, or something that we desire to get accomplished, we must not live in fear. We must have a positive outlook. And something that we must build on is our mental health. So we must be able to find space to meditate. Again, those that have got fear of losing jobs, the jobs that they currently occupy, obviously it's because of the education that they've acquired or the necessary skills that they have. So what we must be doing is, even as we get into 2022, let's continue sharpening our skills. Let's ensure that we continue even advertising ourselves. If we have got skills, if you're a carpenter, if you're able to do sewing, if you're a marketer, let's go out there. There are a lot of platforms where we must be and showcase our skills to ensure that even if we lost the job that we have assurance that the fact that we've gone to school, the fact that we have this skill, we must be able to get another job coming in 2022. So you may not find a job there and then. There are spells, different spells. Brother Zanga, you agree with me. I've dealt with a job spell before. Even up to a year plus. But I mean, if God says this is the time when you have this, you never know what is preparing you for. So we must not be anxious, but in everything we must give thanks. So as we do that, we must also be sharpening our skills and finding, identifying the abilities that we have, which direction. If I didn't have a job, what else can I do? I'll tell you that OMCL Solutions was born when I did not have a job at all. And OMC survived even when COVID was at its peak.
Yeah, true.
So we always identify. Let's not fear. God has a plan for each one of us. In different circumstances, we are unique, and we will be able to overcome.
All right.
If we do not fear and trust God.
We're remaining at 10 minutes. There's another question from Emmanuel Hangoma. Now, it's very peculiar. Like, it took me time to understand the question. But if I got it correct, he says, my question is on point number 4, where you brought in the issue of eliminating toxic relationships for the sake of our mental health being.
Yeah.
How about if the toxic relationship that you're having is coming from family? Does that mean you have to cut off family?
That's an interesting question, but I'll
Very.
take Mr. Hangoma back to what Jesus Christ did and showed his disciples. Brother, Mr. Hangoma, it's not about family, it's about you. Okay, we respect family as blood, but if they are not being helpful, they are not leading you in the right direction, you don't have an option, I would say. Jesus Christ himself said, Brother Zanga, are you able to remember what exactly he said before I misquote Jesus Christ? Anyway, he said, let them cry for their own burdens in that regard. I don't have a Bible with me. I would have gone back. But if they are a burden and proving to be toxic in your life, you have no option, because what you are safeguarding is your mind to start with, which governs you. So there is no way one is a relation, they are blood, and they would want to bring toxic issues in your life. So that you must not be able to tolerate toxic relations even in families, but you must be able to understand them. First of all, try as much as possible to reconcile with them if there are issues that you need to address before them. If they do not change at 1, 2, 3 times, I mean, you've got no option, because you would have exhausted all channels of communication. If they are bringing issues that are affecting your life, please address them. If they don't understand, chop them off. If we don't, there are no two ways about it.
Yeah, so I think it would be a matter of, dear uncle, dear auntie, thank you very much for all what you did for me, but because you have bad energy towards me, sorry, I'm cutting you off. We have to conclude. we have to conclude. Obi, you've been our guest. What would be your closing remarks to the people that are watching now, the people that will be watching it later? What is your closing remarks on one preparing themselves mentally for 2022? Before I bring on Dr. Mata.
Thank you so much, Brother Zanga, and thank you so much to MedSearch Zambia. You're doing a very good job, and we continue appreciating the efforts that you're putting in to bring to make healthcare as simple as possible. The last remarks I have for our audience tonight is that we must not find it too hard for ourselves to make that change we've been waiting for. Let's prepare at different circumstances. Preparation is always who we are, why we exist, and what we stand for. If we don't understand that from the beginning, it will be very difficult again to navigate through 2022. We are going to be the same people who would have written, I want to buy a Mercedes Benz. I want to drive a Range Rover. I want to ourselves, understanding who we are. Again, we'll be shooting in the air. We'll be getting back to the drawing board. Come 2022, 31st December, we'll be talking about the same things. So know who you are and ensure that you set goals that are smart, not outrageous, but something that you'll be able to accomplish, something that you'll be able to work on. If you don't achieve, you've got another day, you've got another time to make sure that you achieve it. If you fail, get back, embrace change, and ensure that you remove all the bad eggs in your life. Then you achieve what you are set to achieve as an individual. So I wish you a safe crossover and a prosperous 2022. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Dr. Mata, I'll bring you on board now. What would be your closing remarks?
Well, I can't just sit here and listen, Zach. I don't always have to say something. Now, I just want to say thank you, Obi. I think this is a very important topic, and we're glad as Message that we could have this kind of discussion. Personally, I've been working on my 2022 and beyond goals for the past couple of weeks. Obviously, starting by reviewing, and this is something, habits are difficult things to start, good habits, but once you start doing something, so for the couple of years I've been writing down, where you can have goals, but you don't write them down. And then come February, you're trying to remember, what did I want to do? So just the act of writing things down and then reviewing them yourself on a regular basis to say, okay, am I on track with the things that I had set for myself for this period? And I think the other thing that's Zanga and I are doing more actively now is holding each other accountable when we make goals for ourselves, for our relationships, our families, our businesses. We don't keep them always to ourselves. We bring in people to say, Zanga, where do we want Message to be in the next 1 year? And then we're holding each other accountable to make sure that we're pushing each other to get to the goals. And I think like that, yes, 2022 might come with its own things, but when we have our own goals, we work towards that, and it makes it worth looking forward to crossing over into the new year.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mata. Hope I'm not cut.
You're still here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Mata, for that. Message Zambia is an application that we created to help you be able to find. I think I'm offline now. Are you able to get me?
Your video is.
We can hear you, but your video is off.
Yeah. Sorry, I think I'll be off then. Message Zambia is an application that we created that is helping you be able to find the nearest health facility we are able to get help from. With what we've talked about tonight, and you need to talk to someone, we as Message Zambia encourage you to download the application on your phone. It can be your iPhone, your Android phone, and find facilities where you're able to talk to someone. Hope to have Coach Obi on our application so that people are able to go to him and open up, and is able to guide them and enjoy a further conversation away from what we had tonight with him. Yeah. Obi, tonight's conversation was for me eye-opening for the new year that is about to start. Uh,
Oh,
knowing
great.
yourself, very important. Yep, well, my camera is bad. Knowing yourself, very important. Apart from knowing yourself, the second thing is now you have to set your goals based on you knowing yourself. So the foundation as you go in 2022 is you have to know yourself. If you know yourself, you set the goals not based on what other people are doing, but based on what you want. After you've set your goals, you have
Yeah.
now to embrace change.
Yeah.
COVID-19 has brought in the new normal. We have to change, we have to adapt to a different way. As you set your goals to the new change that we have. And so if you're doing a business and your business was more physical interaction, your business has to go now more virtual. That is the change that we're talking about. Eliminate toxic friends, nurture good relationships. This will be very important for you in 2022. If you will not have my good friend is Dr. Mata, like you said, we're able to hold accountable for each other. If you don't have friends who are able to say at the beginning of the year, you said you will read one book. Have you read that book? Have you done this? Have you done that? Nurture those types of relationships. If in your friend list there's no one that goes on to push you to be a better version of you, and it's all about having fun and making memes on Facebook, then I would encourage you to cut off. Sorry, don't be afraid to start over. These are the 5 points that, like, I'm excited. Like, I'm sticking this in my office. Don't be afraid to
Wow.
start over. This is what Brother Obi said. Do not be afraid to start over. 2021 has been a challenging year. 2020 was a challenging year. 2022 is a new year. Start over. Do not be afraid. We are MedSearch Zambia. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Brother Obi. The last question, I wrote this question. So, what book would you recommend me to read? The first book you would recommend me to read in 2022?
I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. I'm trying to see which one you would go for. I think starting 2022 goals would be good to start with, since you are trying to identify who you are, where you are headed. Goals would be good by Brian Tracy.
I'm actually listening to that right now in the car when I'm driving.
You're not a good friend. You couldn't tell
That's
me.
It's on YouTube. It's an audio book on YouTube, dude.
yeah. Please, it's a good one. It will align you.
You said goes by?
Brian Tracy.
Brian Tracy.
So that was Brother Obi, backed up by my friend who didn't tell me about the book. Dr. Mata goes by Brian Tracy. Find the book. That's the book that Brother Obi has left the challenge with us. It has been a pleasure. We're wishing you a happy new year. Stay safe. MedSearch Zambia means healthcare simplified. Have a lovely night. Good evening.
Thank you so much.
Night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Night, everyone.
Night.